Right, greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Balkanizer. And today we're looking at a very special event that happened recently in Belgrade, which was the visit of the Holy Belt of the Mother of God to the city, which was here for 12 days and came from the Holy Monastery of Vatopedi on the Holy Mountain. So quite an event, Charlie, yeah, that we're going to talk about.
Yes, yeah. I think it took many people quite by surprise just how many people came to
That's
venerate it.
right, that's right. So it was, we sort of heard about this belt, and I think, so oh yes, that's great that that's coming, but we didn't really realize how popular, let's say, this was going to be.
Hmm.
So as you can see in the notes here, it arrived on the 20th of May. There was a special flight from Greece. With the abbot of the monastery and some of the fathers from the monastery accompanying the relic. And that was the day before Ascension, this Ascension Day that it arrived. And it arrived, actually, it was taken to the Church of the Ascension in central Belgrade.
Yes.
Um, and of course, the patriarch was there, and state officials, as it says. Um, and apparently, yes, also the Ascension is the patronal festival of
Of
Belgrade. Did you know
Belgrade.
that, Charlie?
Yes. We've been on a couple of these processions.
Okay, so every year they have the procession, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're attracting as well larger and larger crowds. I mean, it's sort of
Yeah.
30, forty
Yeah.
thousand people at a time.
Yeah. So this is what being seen. So of course, after well, at the end, in late communist or socialist period, not so many people were attending these things. And then even
No.
after, I mean, from your experience, when did the sharpest rise take place in the number of people going to church and attending such events?
Well, in my awareness, at any rate, it's relatively recent. I mean,
Hmm.
um, so I would have thought that it's the last sort of 10, 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah. I
But
mean, I
mhm.
can think of, students I have in the 40s, 50, in their 50s, middle-aged people, and they just going to Ostrog, for example, to be baptized.
Mhm.
So, but that's recently, it's not long ago,
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Um, so it's
No,
the last
no.
decade or so, maybe, is it something like this? I mean, obviously, there has been a steady rise since the end of the socialist era, I guess, but maybe faster in the last decade. Would that be a fair caricature?
I would say I think so. Yes, I think it's picking up momentum, and in many ways, I think these last few processions over the last couple of years
Yes.
have been a response to some of the more secular political well.
Oh, really? Okay, so
There's
it's
a
like
sense
people making a
that
sort of
we,
statement against
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Okay, so
Yes, obliquely, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
So it seems we're having a few connection problems.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll just try and get through it. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically there was a liturgy on Ascension Day, and then the church was take the sorry the belt was taken to the Church of Saint Sava, the big. When we say new church, it's not really new, is it? I mean, it was built over a sort of 100 years. But when was it actually?
Yeah.
It wasn't it in the end of the 19th century when it was first the found? When were the foundations built?
Again, I'm not sure. I certainly the uh, the actual form of the cathedral has been there all my time in Belgrade.
Yes,
So the
yeah.
dome had been raised by the time I got here
Oh,
in
right, yeah, yeah.
1989. But I
Okay,
think
so
that
it's
before
been a
that,
long time in the
there
building.
was a church on the
Yeah,
site, but it wasn't the cathedral.
yeah.
Yeah,
And again, it's only been, I mean, when I was first coming to Belgrade, it wasn't decorated. It was just like a huge concrete hall, you know. That's what I remember when I
yeah,
first went in. So that's not,
exactly.
I guess
Yes.
I first
Hmm.
went to Belgrade in the early teens or something like that. And um,
Hmm.
around 2010, maybe something like that. And that was what it was like then. And the decoration was finished just a couple of years ago, wasn't it? 2 or 3 when the final touches to
Yes, yes, I think
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
It may still be ongoing in parts. I think
Maybe there's still
they're
some,
still
yeah, yeah.
probably still working on
But
it.
but basically,
But yeah, I think their finances have stabilized. I think that it was donations, and the financing of the project was rather sort of stop and go because
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. Obviously a
no one was
financial
quite
issue, but
sure
they
when they
managed
would
to.
have enough money
I
to
think
go
there's
to the
quite a lot
next
of government,
stage.
a lot of government support, wasn't there, that helped it sort of
This
get
is the
through.
thing. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway,
It's
that's
the
that.
same with the Serbian monastery on Athos as well, with the Hilandar that
Yeah, well, they had a big fire
funding
there, didn't
has
they? So they had
stabilized.
to
Yeah,
restore that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that was the very impressive setting of um, where the where the belt was kept in this period. Um, and so basically, what happened is people started visiting. You know, obviously, people came to venerate. Um, and it did cross my mind to go early in that period somehow, but you know, I have sort of family limitations, which sort of mean it's a bit hard to get out of the house. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you were just in those early days, you didn't have to wait so long, an hour or two, you know. Um, as I said, I saw some footage.
Yes.
I saw some footage of um, the Prince Philip Karageorgia, the sort of heir to the throne, as it were.
Hmm.
And he was, you know, and they were just saying, "Oh, he didn't have any protocol. He just stood in the queue with his family." And it just seemed you could see all this space around him. You know, it was like he was standing just in a
Hmm.
very spacious context. And but of course, but these queues just became more and longer, obviously, and more dense as
Yes.
time went by. And by the second week, I think it was just like you had a guaranteed queue of 10 hours or something like that. You know, that was just the way it, the way it. I think more and more people heard about it. You know, I heard it in the village here. I heard people say, "Oh yeah," like the daughter, you know, said 10-year-old girl saw it on TikTok and said to her mum, "Oh, we have to go to that." You know, so that was by the second week, that was the level it was at. It was just like anyone who saw this, just like, well, this looks important. You know, um, I better go.
Yes, there was definitely that sense that it was spreading organically through the society, that the belt was there, and that more and more people were coming to visit, and it spread out regionally. I mean, when we were there were lots of people from Bosnia, by the sound of it, and
Yes,
round
yeah. I
areas
mean,
round
I
about.
saw lots of
Clearly,
vehicles from all over
mm,
the uh, you know, West Balkan region, you know, basically, or this is sort of
yeah,
Serbian
yeah,
speaking region. Yeah, yeah. Um,
yeah.
so basically, the queue was just like around the streets, wasn't it? It was going all the way around, and it was going right down almost to the outer commander uh,
Yeah, I'm not
junction there.
sure to what extent it was planned, but yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
don't know
people
how
just
that
kept
did. People just
joining
do this
the back of the
organically,
queue,
or
and
you
it just
know,
yeah,
it seems to me it would need to be a bit planned, wouldn't it? Because otherwise, you know, it would have traffic implications if you just let people queue whatever they thought. So I'd have
well,
thought that he
it
had
did
a
have those implications. Yes, I mean,
yeah,
when Ivana was queuing, there were people who were essentially stuck in their streets with their cars. They couldn't get
yeah,
out
they couldn't get
because the
out.
queue was going down their street.
Yeah,
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 um, but that was, I think, I'm just reporting what my wife was saying, but the atmosphere in the queue was certainly very friendly. All
yes,
the restaurants roundabout were allowing people away to come in and use the toilets,
yes,
and
yeah, yeah,
so on and so forth. So um, it spontaneously self-organized in a way which was also quite impressive, I felt. We didn't have to have all these monitors and
No, I
people
mean, I
in
didn't see anybody.
high-res
Yeah.
vests
I was,
guiding everyone. Everyone
that's
just
right.
guided themselves.
That's right. I was there for 6 hours and I didn't see a single marshal or steward
That's
or
the word, isn't
anything.
it? Yeah,
Maybe in
yeah,
front of the church there were some, but in the streets there weren't. There wasn't anybody.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, so yeah. So basically, that was you know if you wanted to see it, you basically had to queue about 10 hours by the end of the whole process. Um, there was a certain shortcut. Some people took a bit of a shortcut. You know, that was a way. In front of
Hmm.
the church, there was like a very big queue, and people could sort of anonymously slip into that. But I think most people saw it as what they call a podvig, isn't it? You know, this sort of ascetic um, act
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
that doing that in itself, the waiting was part of the process.
Again,
Uh,
certainly that was even as experience. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, looking at the looking at the historical aspect of it, as it says in the notes here, it's just the first presence in Serbia for almost 650 years. And we last time we were talking about it, I was a bit curious about what that actually meant. So I did a bit of
Yeah.
research, and according to monastic tradition, this relic, uh, by the time of Tsar Lazar, so that's the 14th century, it was in the possession of the Bulgarians. And Lazar won a battle against the Bulgarians, and he took possession of this relic. Now, I think you said you knew about this battle, which battle it was.
Well, yes, but I haven't got chapter and verse on it, so I better not start mouthing off without knowing exactly what I'm talking about. But
Uh-huh.
yes, certainly there was conflict there, wasn't there? And that
Yeah,
that
okay, yeah. So
was the way the
there was conflict in that this was not so long before Kosovo Field, so not in the sort of later
no,
part of
no,
the
hmm
14th century. So he took possession of this, and at some point he decided to give it to Vatopedi. And I think the whole event has highlighted the connection between the Holy Mountain and Serbia, you know, the
yeah,
Serbian state, the Serbian church, um, and highlighted it's an intimate connection, which
yes,
goes back particularly to Saint Sava, who,
hmm
for the benefit of, you know, people who didn't study at school in Serbia and don't know the history of Saint Sava was the son of Prince Nemanja. Nemanja was the um, king, at least he was a Jupan, but he brought together the Serbian state, various factions, and he managed to create a strong Serbian state. And he's considered, in many ways, the founder of the state side of Serbia. And his
yes,
son, Rasko, young son, was a very pious young man, and he ran away. He ran away to the Holy Mountain, um, and his father tried to. He sent some of his men to take him back, but it was too late by the time. Well, they got there, but they were sort of tricked, and in the meantime, he was tonsured a monk,
yes,
and that was at the Russian monastery of Pandalimon. Um, and by an interesting providence, he went with the igumen, the abbot of the Russian monastery, to Vatopedi, which is the great, like the imperial monastery, really. So
hmm
Vatopedi lies
right,
on the east in a very um, natural harbor, a very sort of ideal, let's say, harbor,
hmm
which is, you know, the first point of arrival from Constantinople, really, and
right, right,
that
yes,
would be an explanation of its status as this
hmm
imperial monastery visited by many emperors. I think by Constantine himself. Um, so so he went there, and the abbot and the fathers were so impressed by him. They liked him so much that they basically they asked the abbot of uh, Pandalimon,
Mm.
whether he could stay, there. I don't know whether they said, can he stay for a few weeks or a few months, but it turned out to be 19 years.
Yes,
Um,
right.
and as Vladimir Nikolai Velimirovich points out, this was a very significant providence of God, because Saint Sava became very closely um, familiarized, let's say, with the Greek tradition. So if he'd stayed
Hmm.
in Pandalemon, it would be another Slavic monastery. And so, I mean, he would obviously be in the stream of Orthodox tradition, but not so directly linked to the original Greek fathers and so on.
Well, it's interesting how these relationships developed historically, isn't it? It reminds me, to some extent, the story of Sava and his relationship with Byzantium and with the Byzantine Church, was prefigured to a degree by the relationship of Tsar Boris of Bulgaria, who converted his people to Christianity under the influence of well, it was Photius, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then later on, Methodius, Cyril and Methodius, who found refuge in the Bulgarian, the newly Christianized Bulgarian state. So this tradition of strong, sustained, long term links between um, the Christian tradition as preserved in the Greek and the Slavic tradition is sort of reiterated with the story
Yes.
of Saint
Yeah. Well,
Sava.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So it has to, you go back to the source, if you like.
Mm.
Um, so, orthodoxy can flourish in any culture,
Yeah.
but the Greek fathers and the Greek tradition is like the source. That's where it took root in the first place. So in fact, you know, Sava was very well acquainted with these writings and with the tradition. Of course, it wasn't just the written word, but it was the whole
Hmm.
tradition of a Greek speaking monastery. Um, so anyway, so that there you go. So that's how, and he brought that away. And so, for example, his Nomocanon, this great
Yeah.
volume that he worked, it's based in many ways on the Greek writings,
Hmm.
on the documents of the synods, the acts of the ecumenical councils, and
Hmm.
the canons of the synods.
Yeah.
So he in detail he goes through those and he expounds them.
And his typicon, his the rule for Studenica, for
Yes,
his father's foundation in Serbia,
yes,
is very much based on the was it the typicon? It may even be
yes. The
of
Athonite typicon,
Japanite. Yes. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, that's it.
So,
That's it. So I think this was really brought home to everybody who was interested.
and there's of course
Um,
the other link with Saint Sava with the church there, which is dedicated to him. This is the site at which his relics were burnt by the Ottomans.
of course,
They,
yes, yeah, that's right. So the church is built on that
so it
location
has
there.
that phoenix-like
Yes,
association as well,
yeah. Well,
out of
that's
the
it.
ashes.
That's it. So people were sort of reminded. It just sort of came up spontaneously. This whole connection, So we had the abbot of um, Vatopedi there, and he was saying he said something like, it's going to bring peace to the um, it was it's Irino peace to peace them down or something like that, the Serbian people.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a great thought, isn't it? The people, whenever they think of the Mother of God, they're brought into this sort of sense of humility, um, and love and yeah, peace. So uh, this was an atmosphere that was brought up, if you like, by
Yes,
this.
yes. Hmm.
Um, so
I mean, fertility as well. Of course, this is
well, that's it. I
a
mean, yeah,
reason
the
for
belt is
visiting.
famous for, barren mothers have
Mhm.
come and many have conceived after venerating the relic.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is I think this was part of this whole very positive uh, I don't know, vibe. I can't
Yes.
think of a better word, but atmosphere, vibe, um, experience that was there. Um, so yeah, so that then that was people were reminded of these things, and as I say, reminded of the fact that the relic was originally here, and then it was given to the monastery, and it was coming back after 650 years for a visit. Um, and so, touching on what we were talking about a bit before, this sort of revival of orthodoxy in modern Serbia, and
Yes.
this could be seen as the biggest gathering, really. Um, or one of the biggest. I mean, what could we talk about? There were the Spasovdan, wasn't it, back in the times of the 90s? But this would be more of a spiritual one that had a sort of strong political content.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah,
Well, this is again the contrast. I mean, with Vidovdan and the Battle of Kosovo,
yeah,
this is what's Vitus's day, is it?
yes, and Vitus's Day. Yeah, yeah.
That is a much more militant and
Yes, yes,
aggressive kind of a tradition. Of course, it's the great battle that when then that tradition was revived for political uh, purposes by the Milosevic regime
yes,
in the 1990s
yes,
or late 80s, in fact. So um, this is different. You can't really make the same kind of the you can't make the belt of the Mother of God the same kind of a battle cry
of
as you
course.
can for the Battle of Kosovo.
Yes,
It's in some ways I think it is a response to the godlessness and of the materialistic movement, which
yes,
is um, there in our societies all over the West at the moment. But it's not an aggressive one. It is a much more um, peaceful and gentle and
yes,
understanding centering of the people around these
yes, yes. And I think that
ancient
comes back to
convictions. Mm.
the atmosphere in the queue. People were very
Yeah.
just this perfect cooperation and understanding and helping each other, and it was completely like that, 100%.
At complete odds to the atmosphere in the nationalist rallies of the late 1990s. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
really, this is really the spirit of orthodoxy. So I think it very striking for people
Mm.
to see this. Um, so a great event. And just scrolling down a bit here to look at basically the point about it was really more finally really the theological side of
Yeah.
it. So I'm just going to read out my little this is my little text. I penned this in the queue at about 3 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning. Um, So I thought by going at 2:30, I thought, say AI said, "Oh yeah, in the middle of the night you only have to wait 3 or 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours or something like that." But it's nonsense. The queue is just permanent. Anyway, but anyway, it was an opportunity. It was a very nice place to, uh, you know, do something on my phone, a little thoughts on the matter. So I'll just read this out. So it says,
Yeah.
apparently, a certain sociologist has described our behavior as fetishism. This is to
Mm.
miss the significance of the central doctrine of orthodoxy, the incarnation. Our belief and experience is that our Lord Jesus Christ is both fully God and fully man, and that both these natures are united in one person. And because of this union of natures, the Blessed Virgin Mary is rightly titled the Mother of God, as dogmatized by the Third Ecumenical Council at Ephesus in AD 431. So I think this is I was a Protestant myself, and this is a challenge to all Protestants. You believe in the incarnation, but you believe that Christ is fully God and fully man. Well, then, and it's one person in the person of Christ, then isn't um, the Virgin Mary the Mother of God?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's a challenge. So her, her physical proximity to the Word of God incarnate and her assent to and cooperation in the divine plan of salvation made for her complete divinization as the supreme example of the process referred to by the Apostle Peter as becoming partakers of the divine nature. So that's a direct quote from one of the epistles of the Apostle Peter. And this is described as theosis. So in Latin-based word is divinization. Theosis is the Greek word. And this is a process whereby humans assume communicable attributes of God, such as the ability to hear and answer prayer. So this is the extraordinary doctrine at the heart of Orthodoxy, that we are divinized, that we become gods by grace, obviously not gods by nature, and there are many attributes of gods that we can and will not and never share, but there are many attributes that we can receive by grace. And this actually took place in the Theotokos in a unique way and to an unrepeatable extent. So this is why the Mother of God is so unique, is that this is by virtue of her closeness to Christ. So including the fact that he actually resided in her womb for 9 months, and she was ultimately constituted greater than all saints. And as one of our daily prayers put it, more honorable than the cherubim and beyond compare more glorious than the seraphim. So this is the point, that it's not some, irrational thing, but it's based on something profoundly rational. It is a faith in something supernatural.
Yeah.
And okay, just to finish everything I said. So it says, moreover, the union of natures also entails the sanctification of matter, and in particular, the matter in proximity to the person of the Son of God, his accoutrements, part of the precious cross, the nails of the cross, and then the bodies and accoutrements of his saints. So that's we venerate relics. We're not worshipping matter, but in fact we are transported above matter by the grace that resides in these things, and we actually have communion with God through these things. And just as a sort of last point to confirm this, something that the Patriarch Porfirije said after the Sash was returned, he said of the Mother of God, wherever she is present, her Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, is also present. So this mediation, it's not taking away from the mediation of Christ. I would say more, it's part of the mediation, because Christ dwells in his saints. And so it's part of it. So I'm sorry I had to read all that, but I thought I'd do it in one go. So what are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
No, it's beautifully put, and it explains to me much more clearly than I understood it before, what that relationship means and why it is that the Mother of God is so beloved of Orthodox Christians. I mean, because she is there as she's at the same time more human than the Son of God himself, but also more divine than we can possibly hope to be, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, we can't reach that level of divinization because nobody could possibly be as close, but we can sort of aspire to it, I suppose. And we can benefit from it. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? So it's this, the way that we benefit from our mother's care, our physical mother's care. This is sort of spiritualized. It sort of has an expression in the spiritual realm, in the person of the Mother of God. And again, it's an experience. It's an experience, just as we experience the care of our mother, the love of our mother. We experience that, and I think this is key to Orthodoxy: is that it's a real experience. I mean, what can you say? I mean, if somebody doesn't want to denies that something you can't see, isn't it? It's about what you can see. I think the sort of empirical, so-called empirical things. Oh, because I can't see it, it can't be real. There can't be anything real there. But I think Orthodoxy is saying, well, there's a lot of things we can't see with our eyes, but are just as real. And the whole experience both
my wife and I, while we were there,
Yes.
at the liturgy with
Yes.
the belt behind us. We
Yes.
felt it. You
Yes.
can't not feel it.
Yes.
You feel the love and the respect of all the people who are
Yes.
coming there, but you feel the presence
Well,
of
that's it. That's it.
the
It's
relics.
something real, isn't it? I mean, every time we go to church or whatever,
Yeah.
it's something real. It's it's not just 100 or 1,000 people standing together.
Mm.
There's something other there.
Yeah.
So
But yes, I heard this accusation of fetishism, and I was looking up, how it is that the anthropologists actually define what a fetish is, and the
yes,
origin of the
yes.
way apparently it comes from Portuguese, and it was through the first contacts with African societies that it entered the sort of
And what was the
Western
basic
academic.
concept in the Portuguese word?
Um, No, you've got me there, but it was basically just again a graven image. Essentially, it is an
Yes.
idol. It is
Yeah.
the in the same way as Nebuchadnezzar set up his golden statue and told everyone to
Yes.
bow down and worship it. This is what these African um, uh, objects
Yeah.
were that the Portuguese were
Yeah.
encountering in their exploration of the African coast there. Um, but and it's an understanding that I have shared in the past as someone who saw the veneration of relics, particularly in a Roman Catholic context,
Yes.
and thought of it as being, well, rather macabre, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but that lack of understanding is the key element there.
Yeah.
And I suppose the cultural willingness to misinterpret and to
Well, that's
misinterpret
it. I mean,
as something primitive.
it's a sort of bridge. I mean, to me, it's all about experience.
Mm.
Um, you know, I think the guiding principle or the key principle in true religion, true spirituality is experience. The intellectual side is very important, um, but if I look at my own life, I've always taken steps because of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, through over the years, I've moved between different religious traditions.
Hmm.
And the last step was to orthodoxy. And that was just, it was the experience. I mean, it was only by going to Greece and experiencing this grace that came off all the features, the fact of orthodoxy that were around me, and sort of feeling that. And I can remember this sort of connection, and I was, oh yeah, I remember I studied the ecumenical councils at university, and that sort of followed, but it was the experience first.
Hmm.
Um, so, there's a text, who was it? In John's Gospel, one of the disciples says to the other, "Come and see, come and see."
Hmm.
When they were coming,
Yeah.
the first disciples were coming to Jesus, and one said to
Hmm.
them, "Come and see, come and experience it."
Hmm.
And that's really what we have to stress. If we just put intellectual arguments first, people just they've heard enough intellectual arguments. The world is full of intellectual arguments saying why I'm right and you're wrong. I mean, that's basically
Yeah. And the
what's going on
discussion will be
in
endless and
every
cyclical.
field,
Yeah.
but especially in theology. We're right, you're wrong because of X, Y, Z, and everybody has a
Yeah.
solid case, and their case seems watertight to them. They have the points. So
Hmm.
if you're a Protestant, you've got these points. If you're Roman Catholic, you've got these points. Um, and so people are in their own little uh, compartment, their own position, and they hold. Well, yeah, on balance, I'm holding to this because of these points. But the profound experience of divine grace, the depth, the perspective, um, is what for me anyway. I've never moved by intellectual argument, although I'm a real rationalist. I'm always rationalizing
Yeah.
and trying to, but I've never convinced anybody by rational argument. I've never been convinced myself by rational argument. But once you've crossed the line, then you see it all makes sense. And that's the thing about orthodoxy. I mean, as a Protestant, that I would venerate the Mother of God. It just seemed, how could I do that? It's not in the Bible. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
once I experienced the grace of the Orthodox community, the grace of the Mother of God, then oh yeah, and so it's completely rational because that's logical that she's the
Yeah.
mother, if because of the incarnation.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it does obviously factor into these ideas of the left brain and the right brain, and the emotional understanding which goes at the speed of light to the truth, and the intellectual understanding which follows on as a justification and um, a practical approach to the how to get to a particular place or so. But it's the feeling,
Yes, yes.
the emotional mind which makes the decision and
Yes, that's it.
sanctifies it really.
You know, then there's the only question is the genuineness of the experience, you know.
Well, this is the question, isn't it? Yes, because it can, of course, that impulse can be easily manipulated
Yes.
and misdirected, and this is what we're all warned against, isn't it? I mean,
Well, that's it. So there are false spiritual experiences, but there are
mhm.
many safeguards. And you know, one of the safeguards which Jesus himself said, he said, "You shall know them by their fruits." You know,
Yes.
so we
Hmm.
can, you know, we might experience, and people do, you know, in some sort of religious community, that there, you know, there's no group of people who don't have some virtues, some benefits, and some, you
Hmm.
know, there's some good sides of it. So people feel, okay, well, I'm in this religious community, in this religious group, you know, lots of good things are going on. Um, but there's always this over, if you step back, look at the whole picture, you know, what is it? And it, so we have to test the experience, but
Yeah.
there's a level when it, you know, when it's confirmed, if you like,
Hmm.
uh, by numbers, by just the breadth of the experience that people are having.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so anyway, that's our little experience from
Well,
Serbia.
it was yes, a miraculous occurrence. The way that
Yes.
it was planned and thought of ahead, but then things just started falling into place and coming together, and
Yeah.
it started building momentum which no one
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
expected,
Yes.
and became a very significant occurrence.
Yeah. Well, there we are.
Mm.
So hope that's of interest to our listeners, viewers,
Yes.
and we'll see everybody on the next edition.